Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Wes and Hank.
What's going on?
That's a weird one. I don't ever really, I hardly ever say it.
It's gone the other way a few times, but yeah, it's been Andy and Hank. It's been Wes and Andy, bad Hank, a few times.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, man.
Andy is on his way. I know
This
that he's
is
on his
if
way.
we couldn't afford a producer, this is what it would be.
That's right. It'd be like this all the time. Oh, look at that. Speaking of the devil, here he comes. He's walking in the studio right now.
Awesome.
No shame, sir. We started without you.
I take it all back.
It's all right. It's all good. Everything's all set up, though. It is, what are we tonight? We are part 9. Did I get that right? Part 9? Part 9 of our Road to Ahsoka review series, as we have been reviewing the essential Ahsoka Tano episodes over on Disney+. We're back with another batch of Star Wars Rebels tonight that we're going to be covering.
A heavy batch.
It is a heavy batch, actually. This one is, man. I had forgotten that these episodes did a couple of things. Namely that. Oh, there he is. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late.
No, don't apologize. Everything's fine. Let me just. I feel weird now. This is all messed up. What's going on? No, you need to be up here.
I don't want.
I need to.
Where do I have the? There we go.
That's better. That's what it's supposed to look
Hollywood
like.
squares. We're all effed up.
That's right. I had forgotten how much these episodes do for the overall narrative of Star Wars. And
like total.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And they do quite a bit. So in terms of importance, these might be 2 of the most important episodes in Ahsoka's journey.
I totally give you that. The other one that doesn't make the list that I feel is like the strongest one is the Mortis episode.
Strange that they did not include that.
It's really strange, but it might go over a lot of people's heads if they're trying to catch casual.
And yet I feel like, after we reviewed the live action trailer, like there's no denying that they're leaning into that.
Oh.
So how that missed the essentials list, I don't know. That speaking of essentials list, I don't know if we've talked about this on the show yet. Hank, you've been working on a list of other episodes that
Hank's
you
guide
think
to extra
are
essentials.
As that list is propagated, because we don't have a full list yet, but as the list is propagated, we'll post it on our social media. So if you want to check out some extra, and listen, I shouldn't be calling it extra because in my book, it's all essential watching.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah,
totally worth checking it out.
Given the 200 plus hours, I would recommend watching every single episode
I do as well
of the Clone Wars and Rebels for sure.
Slowly making my way through, and it's scary to think that not everybody has seen these 2 episodes.
I know. Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. You could watch them in the reverse order and go, oh, they're biting the Obi-Wan show. when in fact, we're just borrowing this, Dave.
That's right. I'm actually going to talk about that tonight too. It actually comes up. There's a line of dialogue that I want to draw some attention to because it makes you kind of go,
There's actually a few lines of dialogue that make you go,
yeah. Want to throw a quick hey out to TJC. Thanks for showing up tonight. Hope you're enjoying the show. Hope things are well on your side of the pond. It is uncharacteristically wacky weather over here in our part of Canada right now. Hank, you sent us some photos the other day. We've got
there.
We've got parts of the province are on fire and other parts are flooding.
250 millimeters in about 12 hours, and 200 of it was in about 30 minutes.
It's been absolute crazy. 4 people missing.
Yeah,
I thought it was 6.
Is it has been raised to 6?
Okay, sorry, 4 children and 2 adults.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah, it's crazy. On the way to the airport, you could see some of this stuff.
Right.
And nothing terrible. Like one lake was like the people's docks were floating, and there was kids' toys floating.
Sure,
but nothing. I didn't see anything with my eyes that was tragedy. But social media is full of it, and being in like the epicenter of that is just. It's a little bit mental, actually.
Yeah, for sure it is.
To think like you got to be careful what you wish for when you're in the middle of a forest fire.
all the climate change deniers.
Yeah,
Wow. Oh, good to hear. Good to hear, TJC. Everything's good. Thank you very much. Glad to know. Before we get to the business tonight of our 2 episodes, it is time once again. Oh my God. I thought I had everything set up tonight and I don't. Here we go. One more button. There we go. I found it. Let me reach in here and grab the keys. And maybe we can open this thing up and have another round of bad Star Wars jokes. This one's really bad. It's so bad. I groaned at it. I mean, I can't even laugh at it. All right, guys, here we go. What do you call a redneck Mandalorian bounty hunter?
Oh, wow.
Jethro.
Jethro Pet. Aqualung.
You are so close, Hank. Well, that'd be Bubba Fett.
Bubba Fett.
Bubba Fett.
What about his cousin, Bosu Katan?
There you go. There you go. Bobby Sue.
Bobby Sue Katan. That's worth it.
Luke, I am your uncle father.
Where does the Emperor like to shop for new apprentices?
I'm not sure. Is there a Michael Jackson correlation in this for like little boys or
no? Where does the Emperor like to shop for new apprentices?
I don't know.
Luke goes to the secondhand store
at the Darth Mall.
The Darth Mall.
Boy.
Doubles. We had doubles.
I don't know the double shop, but that one was sticking with me. I'm like, okay, I'll use it.
Why not?
He
gets a bulk discount.
This has been an extra special bad Star Wars jokes. They don't get any better.
Weirder.
That long list that I found, I think we've used most of the good ones. All right. Let's get to the business here because I got long-winded again. I didn't mean to, but I feel like it's okay though because it's Rebels and we didn't do a full deep dive series on Rebels that it's a little more forgivable here. So yeah, let's get to that. Here we go. Move us over there. Change up the look. There we go. That's the one. All right, we're starting tonight with Star Wars Rebels. It is season 2, episode 21. This one is called Twilight of the Apprentice, Part 1. It's written by Dave Filoni, Simon Kinberg, and Stephen Melching. Stephen Melching, by the way, wrote 43 of the 75 total episodes of Star Wars Rebels, or at least had a co-writing credit.
There you go.
He wrote 19 of the 40 episodes of Star Wars Resistance and a total of 55 episodes between Transformers Prime and Transformers Robots in Disguise. He also wrote 40 episodes of the 1998 RoboCop Alpha Commando.
Wow.
I do not remember that one.
That's the animated series where they basically put him on ice and woke him up like 20 years later.
Okay. I don't think I ever saw it.
Yeah, I didn't really see it either. Wow. This one's directed by Dave Filoni. It originally aired on March 30th, 2016. We are into Disney Star Wars now. Not that we weren't with the final season of Clone Wars, but we're just a few months after the release of The Force Awakens here. 3 months, actually. And this episode is one of the first media tie-ins with some of that new stuff that was introduced in the sequel trilogy, which we're going to see tonight. All right, our official description reads, Ezra, Kanan, and Ahsoka arrive at Malachor, a seemingly dead world and home to an ancient Sith temple. But they are not alone. Paths cross, destinies change, and fates are fulfilled. Comment coming from TJC, who says, I loved Rebels. I think it really captured the feel of Star Wars with only a sprinkling of the main characters to maintain the timeline. We've said it many times before.
I heartily agree.
How do you exclude Rebels when it is quite frankly some of the best storytelling in the franchise?
Once I get you guys broken into Rebels, then I'm going to get you broken into the comics.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's get to the episode. Our episode opens with Ezra, Kanan, Ahsoka, and Chopper barreling through hyperspace aboard the Phantom on their way to Malachor. At the back of the shuttle, Ahsoka talks to a hologram of Rex. He's concerned for her, and he tells Ahsoka that she didn't have to go alone. Glancing over at Kanan and Ezra, Ahsoka reminds the venerable clone that she's not alone. Well, there's an interesting dialogue piece here. In fact, I think this is probably one of the most impactful moments of the entire episode, and it's unfortunate that it's right at the beginning. But now that, knowing what happens over this 2-episode arc, you get a better understanding for why Rex looks so, because this is the last time he's going to see her for a little while.
Yeah.
He says to her that he could have ordered her to take him on the mission. She reminds him that he no longer outranks him. Of course, when his age, he says, well, in my book, experience outranks everything. And without missing a beat, Ahsoka says, well, then I definitely outrank you. And he just has this he looks away. He looks completely downtrodden, like, oh, and I don't think he's insulted by what she just said to him, but it's that whole, I should have been there with you. He's worried about her, and rightfully so. A sad look creeps up on Rex's face before he looks back at Ahsoka and he says, may the Force be with you. And then the hologram flickers out. In the cockpit of the Phantom, Kanan explains to Ezra that Malachor has always been off limits to Jedi. When Ezra asks why, Kanan says it's because of old legends that were told to younglings back in the Jedi Temple. But then Ahsoka, who's walked into the cockpit, says, there's always a bit of truth in legends. And that line is the tastiest morsel of double entendre in the entire franchise.
Yep.
Like I said, we've just made the transition into Disney Star Wars. And this is, not only does this speak to legends within the continuity of Star Wars Rebels, but it's a nice way of Dave Filoni looking at the camera and saying, I'm going to use whatever I want from now, from the rebranded Star Wars Legends.
Yep.
Love it. And they've been doing it ever since to great effect, I think, anyway. While dropping out of hyperspace, Ezra wonders why Yoda would send them here if the planet is off limits, and they figure it's because there's knowledge on Malachor that will help them stop the Inquisitors. Approaching the surface of Malachor, Chopper picks up another ship, but he can't make out what class it is, so Kanan tells him to track it. Piercing the clouds, they approach what looks like a volcanic crater. Inside the crater, it looks like it's covered in volcanic glass, while 8 monolithic pillars jut out of the glass, forming a henge-like monument. Now, where have we seen that recently? Henge-looking thing. Well, presuming that the other ship went there, Kanan sets the Phantom down inside the crater, but outside the henge. And departing the Phantom, he tells Chopper to try and get a fix on that ship, while he, Ezra, and Ahsoka approach the monoliths by foot. Stepping up to one of the monoliths, Ahsoka sees that the inscriptions on it are written in what she calls the Old Tongue. She can only make out a few words. Now, as Ahsoka tries to translate the runes, Ezra suddenly becomes enthralled with them as some unseen force compels him to touch them. Oblivious to the warning from Ahsoka, he lays his hand on the face of the monolith, and the rune underneath his palm begins to glow red. Snapping out of his stupor, Ezra staggers back as the red glow splinters and cracks down the surface of the stone obelisk to the ground. The volcanic glass shatters, and the 3 of them fall several hundred feet into a cavern under the surface. A fall that, by all rights, should have killed them, Jedi or not. Well, we've seen Jedi do some crazy things.
Yep.
But, I mean, Ezra lands like squarely on his face if you pause it at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
I did not even attempt to translate this. I actually thought about messaging one of you guys and say, hey, you want to take a stab at this? But it's interesting to point out that this is Ur-Kitat, also referred to as the Old Tongue. It is the runic language of the Sith. Now, this is the canon version of Urkitot. There are older versions of it that appeared back in Dark Horse Comics, but they were all completely gibberish. This is the first one to actually be a real language that has been developed specifically for use. All right, getting to his feet, Ezra joins Kanan and Ahsoka and he asks, "What's that?" Ahsoka blurts out, "It's a Sith temple," and we cut to the title card. Hey, we can check out, if you look at that image, the image of the temple, it looks like a giant pyramid. Of course, it's underground, and there's a crack in the volcanic glass, letting in just enough light to shine down on the capstone. But if you look off in the distance, and this episode, by the way, it's super, super dark.
Really,
even using some software to try and brighten the imagery up, it's some of it's pretty hard to make out. But you can make out that all of the monoliths that were poking through the surface extend all the way to the lower level that they just happen to be standing on. So walking towards the temple, the rebels get a call from Chopper warning them that they might fall through the surface. Perfect timing, Chopper. Perfect timing. Chop also tells them that he's picked up the trail of the mystery ship that they detected earlier. As they approach the pyramidal temple, they pass through ruins reminiscent of ancient Rome. It's almost like, it looks like Pompeii.
A little bit, like,
like when they were, where they were excavating and they were finding like whole bodies that looked like they were frozen. Yeah, it's very much like that. They even talk about the char.
Yeah.
Deciding that whatever they're looking for is in the temple, Kanan issues another warning. If there's a ship, we're not alone. Ezra posits that they're looking for knowledge and asks if they're looking for knowledge, what kind it is. Ahsoka tells him it's the forbidden kind, that in order to defeat your enemy, you need to understand them. That's the first time that's going to get spoken this episode. Kanan adds that there is no better place to learn about the Sith than a Sith temple. Little do they know that an Imperial Inquisitor is watching them from the shadows. Now, it's the Torellian Django jumper known as the Eighth Brother. We talked about the Eighth Brother actually just last week, actually, in our trailer breakdown.
Yes, sir.
Entering a clearing in the ruins, the rebels see the remains of several bodies. Now, they all look as though they've been flash frozen. Ezra spots a couple of old lightsabers on the ground, and he ignites one of them. But it quickly flickers out, and there you go. That's our link to The Force Awakens with the first
lightsaber.
I guess, animated appearance of a crossguard lightsaber reminiscent of the Ben Solo design. But the lightsaber,
the idea that the batteries lose a charge over time. So
over time,
it's like when you turn on a flashlight after a year or something, it lights up one time for 5 seconds and then dies. You just wrung the battery dry. But that's pretty cool. It also sort of would indicate to me that they're like a rechargeable kind of deal.
This comes back to our going back to our lightsaber episode, by the way, Chasing Kyber. It's a quite an extensive breakdown on lightsabers that we did on both Legends lightsabers and canon. It brings back that question of what exactly is powering the lightsaber? Is it the power cell or is it the Kyber crystal? Is it a combination of both? I'm not sure anymore. I think it's powered by plot.
Maybe. Mine is USB.
All right. Well, Ahsoka determines that this was a battlefield and that the Jedi must have attacked the Sith temple, and the charred bodies are what remains. Now, Kanan says they should keep moving, but then Ezra stops him, thinking that the entire planet is a riddle. Pausing, Kanan asks, "Then what's the question?" But before he can answer, the Eighth Brother, who's been shadowing them, strikes from the darkness. Outnumbered 3-1, the Inquisitor falls back and unleashes a barrage of mini missiles from a wrist gauntlet. The explosion blows a hole in the floor, separating Ezra from Kanan and Ahsoka. But with the Inquisitor getting away, Ezra tells them to go, and he'll catch up. So Kanan and Ahsoka give chase while the Eighth Brother helicopters away on his double-bladed spinning lightsaber.
Seeing this, I kind of laughed.
Yeah.
Just the recurring use of it.
It's really it's used quite heavily.
Yeah.
But again, why didn't we see that in the live action?
Yeah.
Maybe we will.
Never know.
Who knows?
Kenobi season 2.
Ahsoka.
That too.
In the subterranean levels below the ruins, Ezra picks himself up and he dusts himself off. Then, speaking out loud to himself, he says, "Sure, I'll catch up as soon as I figure out where I am." And then a voice from the shadows calls out, "I know where you are." Looking toward the voice, Ezra sees a hooded figure leaning on a cane. Chuckling, he says, "You're here with me." Ezra brandishes his lightsaber and orders the figure to stay back. And in an homage to Luke Skywalker meeting Yoda in The Empire Strikes Back, the mystery figure says, "Please put your weapon away. I mean you no harm." And as the camera closes in, any suspicions you may have had are removed, as we can clearly see that this is Maul, and he's playing some kind of ruse here. Yeah, I totally forgot that this was the return of Maul, that we actually haven't seen him since when he flew the shuttle out of the Venator.
Right.
Maul tells Ezra that it's been years since his ship crashed and marooned him here, and he's stayed alive by scrounging. Ezra says that he'd love to help him, but he has to get back to his friends. Of course, Maul suggests that he can help him. Ezra says that he doubts that. Then Maul asks what brought Ezra here in the first place, but he refuses to tell him. Well, Maul asserts that he came here for knowledge, just as he did years before. Caught off guard by the old man's insight, Ezra surmises that it's in the temple. Continuing with the ruse, Maul says he knows the way inside, but he's too old and would need help to open the door.
He's not wrong.
No.
But from a point of view,
it's true. But we've had this whole thing about Maul's never really lied. I wonder if he is here. Like certainly, I don't buy that he's been here for years.
No.
Nope. I don't. What do you think, Hank?
I think.
Yeah. I do think he has. I think the ship that came is either Vader already or it was the Inquisitor. I think he's here looking for something, maybe not years, but he's been there a while. And we know he's got a propensity to like embed himself someplace and subsist off the water dripping out of the walls. If you will.
Really.
I
just find, I don't want to get too far ahead of it, but his recovery, as it were, is way too convenient to match the story that I've been here for years.
You definitely play it up. The
of course he is. Yeah.
That's getting him sympathy from Ezra, right?
Yeah.
Just the way Yoda was playing up the prankster.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true. All right. Well, caught off guard by the old man's insight, Ezra surmises it's in the temple. Continuing the ruse, Maul says he knows the way inside, but he's too old and he would need help to open the door. Ezra asks, what's inside? And Maul answers with, "Help me and find out." Ezra decides to go with Maul, but he orders him to go first. When Maul asks, "Do you not trust me?" Ezra replies, "I don't know you." Emphatically, Maul says, "Then let's change that." And he tells Ezra to call him Old Master. And being suspicious, Ezra tells Maul that he can call him Jabba.
It's a very much Pennywise moment, though, right?
What do you mean?
Well, like, because Georgie's at the mouth of the sewer, and he's like, "I can't take my boat back. You're a stranger."
Oh,
he's
yeah.
Like, well, I'm Pennywise, so now we're not strangers. Oh, that's an interesting. Like burning that little.
Sure. Right? Well, there's all these little breadcrumbs that are trickled out, like this whole episode, like, which culminates at the end of your episode, Andy.
Yeah.
Like, but we do see, like, he's either Ezra is super, super gullible, or Maul is just like a master manipulator. And I think it's a little of A and a little bit of B, but
do we think that he even pulled the floor out?
I don't know. Exactly? I don't know. Maybe
he had a vision and foresaw that he had to be here at this time for his plan to work.
That's entirely possible.
This is the Maul that he's already created the criminal empire, and it's crumbled. If it hasn't crumbled, he's this is the guy that survived the fight with Sidious. This is the guy that's been chopped in half and rebuilt by the Mandalorians and by the by his mother, and survived that fight with Ahsoka that we just covered.
Yeah,
this is a whole different Maul. That's why the distinction is not Darth Maul anymore.
It's just Maul. Yeah,
it's just Maul.
But it's been just Maul since Dooku. Yeah.
But this is that. If he was ever a master, this is like, he's not, that part of it isn't BS. The old master.
Right. Old master. Yeah.
This is like the pinnacle of Darth Maul.
I'll give you that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, taking the lead, Maul beckons Ezra to follow him. And together they head out for the Sith Temple. On the upper level, Kanan and Ahsoka chase the fleeing Inquisitor. Kanan says he's never had an Inquisitor run away from him before, and Ahsoka figures it's because he was outnumbered. Kanan says that the Inquisitor did seem surprised, and he thinks that the Inquisitor wasn't looking for them. Stopping the chase, Ahsoka questions, then who was he looking for? Just then, Kanan's comlink goes off, and it's Chopper telling him he's found the ship that they were tracking. Chopper mutters something incomprehensible, but Kanan, being fully versed in Murderbot, orders Chopper to get to the mystery ship and to stop it from taking off, and they'll follow his signal. Now, presumably, Chopper says something to the effect of how dangerous that might be. Then from the other end of the comlink, Kanan says, no, disobeying me is going to be dangerous. Now get going. So, igniting his central thruster, Chopper takes off and he dives down the hole where the rebels just fell through. Back in the lower levels, Maul and Ezra continue their journey toward the temple. Ezra demands to know how much further. It's almost like a Smurf thing. How much far now, Papa Smurf? How far now?
Kid thing, right?
That's right, yeah. Ezra demands to know how much further, and from the tone of his voice, Maul deduces that he's worried about his friends and says that worry is for good reason. That worry is for good reason because the Inquisitor is powerful. Pausing, Ezra says, you know a lot about Inquisitors, and Maul tells him that they and their masters are his enemy. Ezra asks if Maul was once a Jedi, and he tells him no, but I was once a Force wielder long, long ago. Ezra asserts that Old Master must be a Sith. But turning inward, Maul says that the Sith took everything from him. They ripped him from his mother's arms, they murdered his brother, they used him as a weapon, and then cast him aside and abandoned him. Continuing, Maul tells Ezra that he once had power, but now he has nothing. Surprisingly, or not, depending on your point of view, Ezra has some sympathy towards
sympathy
Maul.
For the devil.
Some sympathy for the former
There's
fifth.
a t-shirt. Sympathy for the devil. Awesome.
Maul's not lying there.
Yeah,
no,
he's not.
I mean, he might say he once had power.
Yeah,
he's not necessarily talking about Force power, but criminal empire.
Well,
power.
I mean, the it's going to come up, the Shadow Collective.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's good at, like, you know, the half truths and the withholding of the specific details.
Yeah. So yeah, Ezra says, "I know how you feel," and then angrily, Ezra tells Maul how the Empire took away his home, his mother and father. And crafty as ever, Maul plants the seed within Ezra when he gently says, "And now you want revenge." Ezra cries out, "I want justice." Maul tells Ezra that he will have it because he's discovered the key to destroying the Sith. Ezra asks if that's the knowledge inside the temple, and Maul tells him yes, it is. The temple holds secrets of the Sith that have been buried with the dead for thousands of years. Then, arriving at the foot of a staircase leading up to the temple, Ezra asks, "And you'll share this knowledge with me?" Patronizingly, Maul gushes, yes, of course. Then the two set out once more, but only this time it's Ezra that takes the lead. It's a very interesting change, you know, from at lightsaber point, like, you go in front of me, I don't trust you, to, oh, okay, I'll go first.
If you're willing to share, I'll give you a shot.
Yeah. All right, circling the cavern by air, Chopper comes across an Inquisitor TIE Advanced. Setting down on top of the fighter, he narrowly avoids getting sliced in half when the 8th brother hurls his lightsaber at him. But it's of little consequence as Chopper plops down into the cockpit and takes control of the ship just as Kanan and Ahsoka catch up with them. Lifting the ship into the air, Chopper fires the TIE cannons at the Inquisitor. One of the blasts manages to clip the 8th brother and knocks him down, which is enough to let Kanan and Ahsoka take him into custody at lightsaber point. At the top of the staircase, Ezra and Maul find themselves facing a triangular-shaped door. Maul calls the entire structure a place of worship for some and an engine of destruction for others, concluding with their prize is at the center. Ezra asks how to get in, and Maul tells him that 2 people must lift the stones. No more, no less, because that is the way of the Sith. With his suspicions raised, Ezra says, "You seem to know a lot about the Sith," but Maul casually assuages his concerns by telling Ezra, "To defeat your enemy, you must know your enemy. Even practice their beliefs." Ezra says his master wouldn't approve of the last bit, prompting Maul to tell Ezra that he is doomed to fail. Turning his attention back to the door, Maul asks for help, and Ezra reaches out with the Force to try and lift it. Struggling with the door, Ezra drops it in defeat because, in his words, it's too heavy. But Maul continues his manipulation as he tells Ezra that his anger is a wellspring and he must use it. That passion gives you strength, and through strength you gain power. He finishes by telling Ezra that he must break his chains. While turning his attention back to the door, Ezra unleashes his anger and the door slowly slides open. But as he and the old master pass through, they are met by yet another door, sealed just like the last one. Well, then Maul reaches into the Force and, binding it to his will, he lifts the door in front of them while Ezra continues to hold the one behind them. Maul tells Ezra to release it, and the 2 of them move forward, alternately lifting and releasing the remaining 3 doors to the temple's inner chamber. Ezra drops to his knees in exhaustion while Maul kneels beside him as he tells him that unless you take risks to do what must be done, there will always be limits to his abilities, and he should seize the knowledge and power so he doesn't end up like him. Don't end up like me, sonny.
It's kind of funny. There's like 4 doors when he's like, "Oh, 2, no more, no less."
Yeah.
You'd figure they'd go with 2 doors, but.
Or like an odd number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the parallels between this moment here and back the last episode on Lothal, where it took 2 to raise the Jedi Temple.
Yeah,
right?
it's very similar, right? Like
they both shop at the same lock place, I guess.
Well, I mean, all from the same text, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the same ancient source.
Yeah.
The same ancient source. And plus, Rise of Skywalker would have been boring if Palpatine's corpse had said, "I am both the Sith."
That's right. I am both. All right. Well, getting back to his feet, the boy, having now placed some trust in Old Master, confesses that his real name is Ezra. Reflecting on the revelation, Old Master says he once had a name that he no longer remembers. That's an interesting plot point, that he actually would have had a name.
Wow.
Yeah, fully.
Darth Vader isn't Darth Vader.
Anakin Skywalker, right? Before, yeah. Then taking down his hood, he glares at Ezra as he reveals that he is now just called Maul.
And that's where his voice changes, isn't it?
Yeah, it goes back to sort of the... he drops the old man act.
The old man act right there. Yeah.
On the upper level, Kanan and Ahsoka interrogate the Inquisitor. Kanan says this is the 4th Inquisitor that they've encountered, and he asks how many are there. The 8th brother scoffs as he says there's more than enough to take care of you, and there's nothing that can save you. Kanan and Ahsoka figure out that the Inquisitor wasn't actually hunting them, and when they ask him who it is that they're after, the 8th brother chuckles as he says, "A shadow." There's another one. Maul once having power. Yeah. I guess there's a double entendre. Not only does it talk about the Shadow Collective, but presumably that, Maul has been literally living in the shadows.
He survived the Purge. He survived the entire rise of the Empire.
That's right.
He's like, he thrived. He did exactly what he said he was going to do in that Clone Wars finale, and that's thrive.
Yeah.
In the chaos.
Inside the temple, Maul and Ezra reach the central chamber, where a holocron sits suspended in a pyramid-shaped monolith at the center of the room. Ezra recognizes it for what it is, and Maul tells him that this one is a Sith holocron, and it holds the secrets of the Sith. But the monolith is situated on a platform several meters from Ezra and Maul, and it's separated by an infinitely deep pit that is impossible to jump across. Maul says that retrieving the holocron is a test, that only someone who is willing to risk oblivion is worthy of claiming it. And in an unexpected turn of events, it's Ezra that comes up with the idea to jump into the void and to have Maul force push him the rest of the way. Ezra insists they can do it. And they do. Ezra leaps into the chasm, assisted by Maul with a force push. But it's not enough, and Ezra begins to fall. But not before Maul reaches back to deliver another push, sending Ezra skidding to a halt just beside the pyramid. Getting to his feet, Ezra approaches the holocron and plucks it from its resting place and presents it proudly to the old master. But the removal of the holocron has triggered something within the temple. Outside, Kanan and Ahsoka turn as the pyramid begins to glow and the top starts to retract into the structure. With the rebels distracted, the Inquisitor takes the opportunity to press a button on his gauntlet. Kanan orders Chopper to get back to the Phantom and prepare the ship to leave. Then Ahsoka drags the eighth brother to his feet, and the three of them head off towards the temple. Inside the holocron chamber, the central monolith is struck by colored lightning as it begins to rise up out of the floor like a giant lightning rod, carrying Ezra with it. Maul shouts at Ezra, "Jump!" But Ezra says he won't make it. Looking up, Ezra sees a giant ball of coalescing energy crackling with a growing intensity. Outside, Kanan and the others stop to observe the receding capstone. Kanan wonders out loud, "Why do I know Ezra's involved in this somehow?" As the platform continues to rise towards the energy ball, Maul calls for Ezra to trust him. With the alternative being death by incineration, Ezra leaps off the platform and plummets into the chasm below. But Maul, keeping to his word, catches the boy and pulls him to safety.
He catches the holocron, and Ezra just doesn't let go.
He full-on catches Ezra by the waist, and Ezra's laying there like arched back. And when he starts to pull him back, he pulls him by the wrist, by the holocron. And there's this moment of like
almost hesitation where it's like, is he gonna drop him?
The holocron's what he wants.
Yeah.
So when you see that moment where he's got him by the hand, you're like, you're gonna drop him? And you really feel like Ezra's in real danger here. So it's kind of a surprise when he plucks him out of the pit and actually leaves the holocron in his possession, which I thought was wow.
But at the same time, how far of a vision did he see?
That's a good question.
Well, we'll talk about it at the end of
the next episode.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it at the end of Andy's episode, but these two episodes scare the shit out of me in terms of the future of Ezra Bridger.
They really do. Outside, Kanan, Ahsoka, and the eighth brother arrive at the triangular temple door. Kanan is certain that Ezra is inside, but he also knows that Ezra could not have opened the door. Ahsoka adds, not without help. Just then, Kanan's comlink chimes in. It's Chopper, warning them that they have company. The eighth brother begins to laugh, as the fifth brother and the seventh sister float in on their spinning lightsabers. It's a mouthful, and I'm not going to lie. The number of times, like, using these characters' names to describe them, it's like, it's number soup. It doesn't work very well in terms of scripting this, but it's the only way I know how.
7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Han and Sarah Michelle Gellar playing.
That's right. Yeah. This is Spanish Han, though, not Asian Han.
There you go.
All right. Kanan and Ahsoka lock blades with the fifth brother, while the seventh sister lands behind them and cuts the binders off of the eighth brother, who in turn uses the Force to retrieve his lightsaber from Kanan's belt. Then the fifth brother shoves both Ahsoka and Kanan back before closing the distance, and now the three Inquisitors have the two rebels surrounded. Inside the temple, Maul and Ezra approach the door. Ezra fumbles with the holocron like it's some kind of Rubik's Cube as he asks how to open it. Maul tells him that you have to be a Sith, or at least think like one, to open it, but that it also has other uses. Then, taking the holocron from Ezra, he inserts it into a triangular recess in the wall. The stone slab in front of them then begins to slide open as Maul says, Sith holocrons are keys that can open many doors. Love the metaphor. Removing the holocron from the recess, Maul drops it back into Ezra's hands. Together, they walk through the entrance tunnel, and when the final door slides open, Ezra sees Kanan and Ahsoka locked in a fierce battle with the three Inquisitors. Igniting his lightsaber, Ezra rushes forward. The new arrivals are enough to trigger a lull in the battle as each participant takes in the new development. Kanan shouts at Ezra, who in turn gestures at Maul, saying, I brought help. Ahsoka looks and is so stunned to see him that she blurts his name out loud, Maul. The Inquisitors look at the Zabrak as the eighth brother whispers, the Shadow. And as the door slides shut from behind him, Maul utters, what fun, as he begins to laugh maniacally. What fun! Cut to black.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's these two episodes as a pair are absolutely like unhinged nuts. Yeah. As far as this one goes for the development of Ahsoka, I mean that tender bit with Rex at the beginning was the thing that hit me the most.
Yeah.
It's did Rex, was he intuition, and maybe that's just a different manifestation of the Force in this case, but like.
It goes so different if you follow that through line too. If he goes with her and he stays with her.
Vader he's not coming out of this.
No.
Vader kills
He's not coming out of this. All right.
But they did air the same day.
Both episodes
in a 1 hour block.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because this would have been the finale of the season, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I suppose we should move on to the next
one. Moving on, Twilight of the Apprentice, part two, with you, Andy.
Yeah.
All right.
So season 2, episode 22, Twilight of the Apprentice, part 2, directed by Dave Filoni, and this one is written by Dave Filoni and Simon Kinberg. So just them, and like we said, it also aired March 30th, 2016. And the synopsis for this one reads: Kanan, Ezra, Ahsoka, and their ally face the Inquisitors until Vader arrives.
Ally.
Yeah, like they're hiding it at this point.
Their ally.
But this episode, it picks up right on the heels of part 1 as our three rebels face down the three Inquisitors in front of the Sith Temple on Malachor. And Maul emerges from the shadows, and the Inquisitors note that Darth Maul is alive, but he corrects them. It's just Maul now. And Ezra insists that they can trust him, but Kanan is against it. And Maul says he'll let his actions speak for him. And then igniting his dual-bladed saber, he leaps into battle with the three Inquisitors. And at Ezra's beckon, the three rebels finally join in.
Yeah, he's like, what are we waiting for?
Yeah.
And then dives in.
And when the seventh sister asks if they have the artifact, Maul tells them they'll know soon enough. And this is enough to cause the Inquisitors to retreat. And when Ahsoka asks Maul what game he's playing, he tells her the end game.
Yeah.
Or at least his end game.
His end game, yeah. Yeah.
We cut to the Rebels title card, and then we cut back, and Maul cites that his enemy is their enemy. And he has his own reasons to topple the Empire. Plus, Vader is coming. And when Kanan asks how he knows this, Maul tells him that his dogs will inform him of their presence.
His dogs, the Inquisitors.
Yeah, and he won't be able to resist. 2 Jedis, a part-timer, and himself.
Mm-hmm. And remember, one of his things at the end of the Clone Wars was to lure Anakin there to take away his apprentice. So that's he's still luring Vader there because he thinks he can defeat him.
It's an interesting thought too, like the two of them squaring off.
Yeah.
Oh.
But the next line that comes up here kind of counters that. But
sure.
Again, is he being truthful? Kanan cuts him off, telling him there is no us, and he's still not convinced they're all on the same side. But Ezra shows Kanan and Ahsoka the holocron, noting Maul helped him get it from the temple. Ezra asks Ahsoka, isn't that why we're here, to gain knowledge? But Ahsoka tells him that no Jedi could open the holocron. And Maul interjects that he could access the temple by placing, or he could access it by placing the holocron in the obelisk at the top. And he could unlock the knowledge that he seeks. And Ahsoka questions why Maul is so keen to keep them there. And he humbly admits he can't beat Vader alone. So is he lying there? Or?
I don't think so. I don't.
He's not lying, but his mandate is still like to remove the Emperor's apprentice. Like,
I mean, if
he wants to be the preeminent guy, Dark Force user in the galaxy, he is still. I talked about him being the master and stuff, but he's still that like tossed away apprentice, and he's still like wants to prove his worth by killing Palpatine.
Yeah, like he can regain favor or something.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, if let's just hypothesize for a second that the 4 of them were to take on Vader, and they were to be killed in the process, it's just one less thing for him to do later.
True.
I think they win that fight, actually.
4 of them on Vader?
Yeah.
I guess it depends. You know what? The plot will tell you. Again, I don't even want to get into that. But I mean, we've seen varying degrees. We've seen different shades of Vader. Vader who's stopped by rubble falling on him versus like, I'm just going to hold this starship here for a second.
We've seen Maul rip the hyperdrives out. Like Unleashed, everyone Unleashed.
Yeah.
Ezra, for God's sakes. Completely untrained. Just like, I'm going to just ride a Purgle through space.
Yeah.
But Ezra, he looks to Kanan, voicing that they should stay. But Kanan counters with, he doesn't think so. And Maul scolds him, calling them cowards for wanting to run away when what they seek is so close. And Ezra asks again, and Kanan looks to Ahsoka, who gives him a nod. Reluctantly, he radios Chopper, telling him that they're staying for a bit. Maul joyfully exclaims, we're on the same team then. But Kanan bluntly tells him just to get to the top of the temple. And as they move off, a seeker droid emerges from the shadows. The seeker droid begins listening in and sending the rebels' conversation back to the Inquisitors, where they learn Ezra does have the holocron. And the 8th brother claims he will retrieve it and flies off with his saber. And the 5th brother moves to follow, but the 7th sister stops him, telling him, let the 8th brother thin them out, and then we'll claim Vader's prize. Back at the temple, Kanan asks how they got up, or how to get up there. But Maul lays his hand on the structure, and a corner pillar begins to slide into the ground. And once at their level, Maul and Ezra step aboard. But Kanan moves on board as well, and Maul tells him only 2, no more, no less. But Kanan tells him he and Ezra are a package and shoves Maul off.
Yeah, you can take the next one.
Yeah, asking Ahsoka if she'll be fine with Grandpa. Yeah, Ahsoka nods, and Kanan and Ezra begin to ascend the temple. And Kanan, he tries to tell Ezra that Maul is just using him, but Ezra is defiant, saying, Maul sees my potential, and you won't let me access it, basically.
It's an interesting one, to chew on, because that becomes sort of the one of the prominent themes in the next season is the relationships between Ezra and these two characters, because he doesn't really abandon either one of them completely, like it's this going back and forth. So it's weird. It's weird to go back and watch it now and revisit how he started going down that weird road.
It's super similar to the way Anakin speaks about Obi-Wan to Padme in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
He's over judgmental. He never lets me use my full potential. He never lets me use my power to the way I want to use it.
It's almost like that Maul fills the role of Palpatine to Ezra in this, the same way that Palpatine was Anakin's friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you've ever had 2 bosses, it's like having 2 fathers, especially when you do conflicting marching orders. So you got to pick the ones that make sense to you. That's what kids will do when their parents are fighting. They'll pick Mom said I can go to the party. Well, Dad said I could go to the beach, so I'm going to go to the party. That's where all the drinking is.
As they reach the top, though, Ezra calls out, and it's too late. The eighth brother flies in and kicks Kanan, knocking him down. Ezra stands his ground, but the Inquisitor kicks him over the edge, leaving him hanging by one hand. And he approaches him and demands the holocron before deactivating his saber blade. And he starts up this saw type attachment on it.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a bit excessive, but
get a good look at the eighth brother here. We were talking about him and who is the mystery Inquisitor in Ahsoka, and we were talking about the physiology of the Torellian Django jumpers.
Mm-hmm.
Get a real good look at the forked toed feet and the 3-4 fingered hands here.
Mm.
So
like Nightcrawler from
yeah.
But just in the nick of time, Maul calls out for Ezra, distracting the Inquisitor before leaping at him, dual blade lit, and Maul force pushes the Inquisitor off the edge, and he flies away. Maul then pulls Ezra up, and Ahsoka helps Kanan up.
Flies away again.
Yep. With the threat eliminated for the moment, they all look skyward and see the other two Inquisitors flying next to the temple up one more level. And Kanan notes that they're on to the plan, and Maul suggests, well, we need a new plan then. Let's split up and go up the temple from both sides. That way the Inquisitors will have to divide their forces as well. And he also suggests that Ezra go with him. Excuse me. As that's the logical choice. And
I gotta say,
how is that the logical choice?
I gotta say, going back to, they'll have to split their forces as well. There's 4 of you and 3 of them. If you guys split up, that becomes 2. I'll keep my 3 people together and we'll just pick you off 2 groups.
Yeah.
Done and done.
Math isn't quite right there.
Yeah. Anyway, I get it.
Except that I feel like maybe with the exception of Ezra, every single one of them by themselves could probably handle.
Well, that's true as well.
Yeah. But Kanan unhappily relents. You're going to say, Hank?
Oh, I was going to say, except maybe Kanan, because he hasn't become himself yet, which happens in season 3.
Well, listen, I don't want to take anything away from Ezra, and I don't want to take anything away from Andy, because we're going to get there. But I mean, Ezra does, get the line, then you'll die braver than most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So given that he went toe to toe for just a few seconds,
it came out.
It's a good line.
Yeah. But Kanan unhappily relents, and Ahsoka tells him Ezra will be fine. And when Kanan asks how she knows this, she replies, because you trained him.
Yeah.
And that echoes what we heard back from Plo Koon when Anakin
that's right.
was kidnapped by the Trandoshans, right?
Yeah.
As they go up the lift, Maul tells Ezra that the dark side fights without mercy, and he must find that strength within himself. And Ezra cites that Kanan always said fighting was a last resort, but Maul places a hand on his shoulder and asks if he can count on him.
Yeah.
Ezra remains silent. And as they reach the top and depart, a seeker droid floats up behind them. And a moment later, they're surrounded by them, and they begin to deflect plasma blasts back at the other droids, taking them out one by one.
Really upsetting the 7th sister. I think they were like her pets.
Yeah. She brought them all, apparently.
Yeah.
But as they dispatch the droids, Ezra, he has to duck because a saber comes flying in, and looking upward as it returns to its owner, the 7th sister looms above them.
Buffy the Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
A comment from TJC here.
Oh,
that guy thinks like me.
Well,
you think like me, TJC.
Well, TJC says, isn't the mysterious Inquisitor called Merrick, which incidentally is Starkiller's name, Galen Merrick? Coincidence? I don't think so. We talked about that last week when we were doing the trailer breakdown, and although the spelling is different, it's Marok, M-A-R-R-O-K, Marok.
But close.
But it sure does sound an awful lot like Merrick. We did do a short video on that as well, so you can always check that out. In fact, I probably will link it in this in the description afterwards.
Nice. Maul and Ezra, they rush up the stairs towards her, and on the other side of the temple, Ahsoka and Kanan hear the sounds of battle, remarking that doesn't sound good. But before they can do anything about it, the 5th brother is waiting for them at the top of the lift. Ahsoka leaps over and engages the 5th brother from behind, and the 8th brother flies in behind Kanan and kicks him. But Kanan springs back up, and all 4 commence their dueling. Back on the other side of the temple, though, Ezra reaches the top first and strikes hard against the seventh sister, while Maul coaches him, telling him use his anger and passion. Ezra pushes the seventh sister back, and Maul uses this break to use the Force and choke her into the air. Maul tells Ezra to strike her down and finish it, and the seventh sister looks on in horror. But Ezra, he hesitates and tells Maul he can't, which brings a smile to her face, but it's short-lived as Maul angrily hurls his lightsaber at her, killing her instantly. Her body falls limp to the ground, and Maul tells Ezra that the next time he hesitates, it might cost him his life.
Yeah.
And then he almost switches gears, or that of your friends.
Or that of your friends.
That's like scolding and then
crazy Palpatine style kind of move.
Yeah. But there's no time to waste, though, as they hear the battle on the other side, and they rush up a flight of stairs and see Ahsoka and Kanan fighting below with the Inquisitors. Above, Maul catches sight of a shadow moving across the surface, and Ezra asks what it is, but Maul tells him it's nothing. Maul then tells Ezra he'll help them while Ezra continues on to the top and activates the temple and gains the knowledge he seeks. Ezra looks below a moment and makes the choice to trust Maul, telling him he'll meet him at the top. And with that, Maul ignites his blade and leaps to the terrace below, striking the Inquisitors with lightning speed. The two rebels exchange a glance before they join the fray again as well.
For a guy that was subsiding on, as you said, Hank, water, condensation off the walls, he sure did recover pretty quickly.
Like, where's your cane, bud? You dropped your cane.
This is why I'm like, I mean, he has not been here that long. There's no way he comes in at this level of peak performance, having been here for that long.
Unless even if he eating the charred bodies,
even if he has been there,
recooked Jedi.
That was all a ruse. That was all,
to
make him think you're weak where you're strong.
Yeah.
But pretty quickly, Ahsoka strikes the fifth brother's lightsaber out of his hand, and instantly Maul moves in for the kill, slashing the fifth brother across the abdomen. His body falls to the ground, and meanwhile, Kanan has managed to strike the hilt of the eighth brother, who, being thoroughly outnumbered, moves to escape.
Yeah, time to go.
But mid-flight, his lightsaber overloads and explodes, causing
splits in half, splits into two pieces.
Awesome visual.
Yeah, I quite like that.
Yeah, causing the Inquisitor to fall, presumably to his death.
Presumably. Now he does fall, but he just falls out of frame, and we just assume that.
Yeah. Maybe
Mace Windu
maybe
style.
he's not.
Yeah, exactly. Mace Windu style.
And if I'm not mistaken, don't they use the Wilhelm scream there?
It sounded to me like it was part
a variation of it.
Yeah.
But with this battle won, Maul looks to the top of the temple, and Kanan asks, "Where's Ezra?" But Maul slyly says, "You mean my apprentice?"
Yeah, my apprentice. Yeah. There it is.
Yeah, the rebels exchange a glass, but before they can react, Maul's already swinging, and he catches Kanan across the eyes, and he falls to the ground in pain.
So, damn, I forgot that point.
Yeah. Maul rushes to strike again, but Ahsoka catches the strike, and baring her teeth, she forces the former Sith back. Maul tells them that his new apprentice is currently activating the temple, or more accurately, this battle station.
Yeah.
Which he will use to exact his revenge on all his enemies.
What? Another super weapon?
I know, right? They just got these things stashed everywhere.
He's crazy Sith, man.
Yeah.
This thing's probably a lot like the Star Forge.
Probably. Yeah.
And do we think this thing was priorly activated, and that's what caused everybody to flash fry like in Pompeii?
Maybe
that is the end result, because it says, it has the power to take life.
Well, and the fact that,
it's in a crater.
Back in part one,
maybe
in part one, the bodies, a lot of them, they don't look like they were, because Ahsoka makes a point of saying thousands of years ago, the Jedi attacked the temple, and there are people in full on crouch, they're still running or walking. Nobody looks like they're dying in pain. It happens so fast.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the
temple,
the orb weapon thing. Yeah.
But meanwhile, Ezra, he's finally reached the top of the temple, and he enters in and spots a hovering dagger-shaped receptacle made of two halves.
Yeah.
Using the Force, he levitates the holocron into the center of the two parts, and it activates. The corners of the holocron detach, and energy starts to arc. And a voice asks, "Who has activated the holocron?" And Ezra replies, "It was him." And he was told this was the key to knowledge. The voice asks if he knows what knowledge is, and Ezra asks it to tell him, and it responds, "Knowledge is power." Then a large blast of energy radiates from the center, and a beam shoots skyward. Below at the side of this, though, Ahsoka and Maul's duel pauses, and Maul cries out, "The power will be mine. Ezra will be mine, and there is nothing you can do to stop me." But as Ahsoka is having none of it, and she resumes the battle, and Kanan's still on the ground, he searches for his lightsaber, and finding it, he picks it up, and he finds a mask as well from a fallen warrior with narrow slits for eye holes.
Oddly enough, it's very reminiscent of a Temple Guardian helmet.
Yeah.
Which, like, how bad is it? How important is it when the Temple Guardians are going on an assault?
Yeah. Again, the power of whatever this was, right?
Yeah.
I think it's symbolic that the Temple Guard knights him, and that he takes up that mantle now.
Isn't that something? Yeah.
Because like more than any other, when we talk about the role playing game and the two, that's all they give. Well, I guess the consular, but the Guardian style Jedi, and I think more than any Jedi in canon, he exemplifies that.
The Jedi Guardian.
Jedi Guardian, and so Temple Guard, Guardian, half mask. It's beautiful. It's beautifully written.
Yeah.
Ahsoka continues to duel Maul, striking and dodging before leaping to a near set of stairs. And Maul asks, "Is she running again?" But with a smile, she tells Maul, "If you want to finish their duel, you'll have to deal with him first."
Oh, yeah.
And Maul turns to find Kanan standing there in the almost featureless mask.
I got a little like Vega from like Street Fighter vibes.
Bit, yeah.
But then I go like, that's interesting that he's adopting a reverse grip, which is not. This is so not Kanan.
Yeah.
But because he's never fought any other way than what his master told him.
Yeah.
He's literally like, "Oh, I'm going to fight like Ahsoka now."
It's pretty cool.
He tells Ahsoka to go get Ezra, and she nods and rushes upwards. Maul looks at Kanan and tells him he'll make it quick. But Kanan ignites his saber and tells Maul he had his chance. And Maul, he approaches slowly, and we get this really great little series of Kanan using his other senses.
Oh, yeah.
Anticipating where and when, and as Maul moves to strike, he blocks it.
It's anybody see Blind Fury with Rutger Hauer?
I think so.
Yeah, so Rutger Hauer is a blind swordsman in that movie. It's pretty cool.
It's
and
pretty
like,
kind of similar vibes.
Neo in the Matrix.
A vigilante running around with a katana.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. He blocks again as Maul throws a punch, and Kanan catches his fist, throwing Maul towards the edge. And Maul trips on one of the bodies of the fallen and ends up tumbling,
tosses him right over.
Yeah, falls off the edge of the pyramid. And Kanan drops to a knee, and just then Chopper radios to him. Kanan relays that they need a pickup, but Chopper tells him he spotted an incoming TIE fighter. And inside the temple, the voice tells Ezra it's been waiting for him.
Yep.
Ezra asks, "What's happening?" And the voice tells him it's the power to destroy life, and it's at his command. Ezra exclaims, "This isn't what he wanted." But the voice responds that if he doesn't want it, maybe the one who approaches will claim it.
Not gonna lie, that obelisk at the middle looks an awful lot like the Sun Crusher. For any of you Legends fans out there, remember what the Sun Crusher looks like. Mind you, on a much smaller scale.
Yeah.
That last frame may be the best visual in all.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Ezra rushes towards the edge, calling for Ahsoka and Ezra, saying Maul tricked them and the temple is a weapon. But Ezra is blinded by a light, and in front of him, a TIE fighter hovers closer with Darth Vader on top.
TIE Advanced X1. Who doesn't ride their TIE fighter into battle standing on the ball cockpit?
That means that while he's doing all this other stuff,
he's flying
it with the Force.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's why Moff Gideon didn't do the same visual with the Darksaber.
It's honestly why they cut that scene out of Rogue One too.
Yeah.
But Vader leaps off the ship, and Ezra ignites his blade, and Vader asks him how he was able to activate the temple. But Ezra tells him he's smart, you figure it out. And Vader counters that it's no matter, as the power within will soon serve the Empire, as he blocks Ezra's strikes with ease. Ezra tells Vader he's not afraid of him, but Vader responds,
"Here it is.
Then you will die braver than most."
And there it goes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ezra blocks a downward strike, but 2 more swings and Vader has destroyed Ezra's saber. And Vader moves in for the kill, saying perhaps he was wrong about Ezra's bravery. But from behind him, Ahsoka calls out, it wouldn't be the first time
that he was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this causes Vader to lower his blade, and turning, he sees Ahsoka standing there. And Ahsoka gives him a very steely glance here. Vader tells her that their meeting was foretold. And Ahsoka rebuts that, well, she's glad she gave him something to look forward to.
Our meeting was foretold. Did the Emperor predict that?
Maybe.
It's the Emperor who's always talking about, I had foreseen it.
Yeah, but at the same time, Anakin was having visions, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the Apprentice lives too, right?
Yeah.
Are you certain?
The
Apprentice lives.
Yeah. But Vader, he deactivates his saber and tells Ahsoka that they need not be enemies. And the Emperor would show her mercy if she reveals the location of the remaining Jedi.
Mercy.
Angrily, Ahsoka tells him there are no Jedi. You and your Inquisitors have seen to that.
There's a fan fiction for you. Ahsoka becomes the Grand Inquisitor.
But do you think he doesn't straight up do the offer? Like, because every Sith when they
absolutely
does the offer. So do you think he knows if she wouldn't take it?
Yeah. Join me and we can destroy the Emperor.
He doesn't give her that offer. He gives her the be my prisoner, and I'm sure we'll be lenient on.
We can work something out.
Hoping maybe we can delay this thing until you're on my side, kind of action.
Yeah, in the door.
I really think he's got to know that she's too pure to make that direct offer.
I would think, yeah.
But Vader turns away and postures that maybe Ezra will confess what she will not. And Ahsoka confesses she thought she knew who was under the mask, but it's impossible. Her master could never be as vile as the man standing before her.
Now, Ezra is witness to that. So do you think he's putting that together?
I don't know.
Yes.
For sure. Think, yeah.
I mean, I guess you could get into some sort of character bits, like what's going in his head. Like, is he traumatized by it? Is he terrified? But I'd have to say just that, yes. Yes.
Holy crap. This guy, who at this point Ezra believes is an Inquisitor.
In his head somewhere, he's like, that's the guy in the hologram.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. He believed he was an Inquisitor the first time around. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
But Vader turns and tells her Anakin Skywalker was weak, so he destroyed him. And again, same as the Obi-Wan.
I destroyed
Anakin.
Yeah, you can't mess with that now, and especially when it's something that Dave had a hand in writing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And at this moment, Ahsoka overcomes Ahsoka, and she's visibly broken. But it doesn't last because she sternly tells Vader she will avenge her master's death.
That's interesting too. I will avenge.
Yeah. And Vader replies that revenge is not the Jedi way, but Ahsoka counters with, I am no Jedi.
Which takes me back.
Right. Top 10 lines of all time are in this.
It takes me back to that. We had a discussion when we were reviewing The Mandalorian. Did we think that she had come back to the fold? And watching this episode, I'm like, no, I don't think she really did.
But I think in terms of her, I think it's what it means to be a Jedi has been redefined.
Oh, absolutely it has, yeah.
And maybe by the time Luke shows up for Grogu, it could be.
But even Luke, who's trying to restore the Jedi Order, is trying to do it. He's trying to revive the dead thing, right?
Yeah.
Where she's not.
No, I know this is the Road to Ahsoka show, but nobody gets it more right than Kanan Jarrus, in my opinion. That's the biggest take home from all of Rebels. He's the greatest Jedi,
quite possibly,
of all.
Yeah. He's the Jedi that was able to have attachments and not be corrupt.
He figured it out. He never once strays to the dark side. Never once.
Nope.
Never once. The whole idea of being tempted is never part of his narrative at all.
Right. Yeah.
Get emotional.
It's okay.
But back here, our two combatants ignite their blades and ready themselves. And Ahsoka moves first, and she's displaying the same speed Maul was, if not faster. And she leaps into battle, striking hard and dodging Vader's various strikes. Crossing her blade, she blocks them and then force pushes Vader right across the room, causing him to slide across the floor. And Vader, he looks up, but Ahsoka's already coming at him again. And he blocks her strike, but she flips over him, landing behind. And he turns and strikes again, but again, she blocks him. Vader begins to advance, but she flips backwards and avoiding all strikes and leading him away from the center of the temple. The two continue out, leaving Ezra behind in the chamber on the floor. And as he looks on, he admits he needs more training.
And of course, just to remind you that, this is still, ostensibly for kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I need more training.
But his thoughts quickly return to the holocron behind him. Ezra moves to grab it, but a blast of energy knocks him backwards on the floor. And from across the room, Kanan, led by Chopper, tells him it takes a master and an apprentice. Ezra asks what happened, but Kanan tells him he'll explain it later. And then he orders Chopper to go get the ship and ready it. And Ezra asks again, what happened? But he says, it's not important right now. Guide me to the holocron. So Ezra does, takes him by the shoulder, and they walk over to it. And as they walk, Kanan asks where Ahsoka is, but Ezra tells him she's with Vader. And outside on the terrace, Vader forces Ahsoka back, and once more, she stumbles a moment, but she steadies herself, and they lock blades and just glare at each other. Vader forces her back, and once more she stumbles, but this time Vader force pushes her over the edge, and he stares down only a moment before turning his attention back to the temple. Do we think he force pushed her over the edge here to avoid having to finish the battle?
Man, I don't know.
Because,
my gut feeling, my initial, is no.
No?
No. It was just the flow of the battle.
Just get her out of the way for now.
Yeah.
Because,
he's winning anyway. I mean, she's going really toe-to-toe, but she's laboring now. He's not laboring at all. And his priority is the weapon. So, if he can make it to the weapon, for sure he wins. There's no doubt that he wins. So that's sort of that's him being a good Sith there, actually. In terms of putting his personal, I could jump over the edge and go for the kill and finish my apprentice, but I'd rather do my master's bidding.
Because you could look at it from I don't want to finish her off. So if I get her out of the way, I can do my master's bidding without having to eliminate her. And deal with her at a later point, right?
That's true, yeah.
Maybe, but I don't. I think we're way past that wishy-washy Vader that we saw in Obi-Wan, and I don't mean wishy-washy in terms of his power, but wishy-washy. I think that fight in Kenobi is where he gives up the ghost.
Yeah, it's that's the remaining bits of Anakin Skywalker are gone
until Luke pulls the rest out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough. But back inside the temple, Ezra guides Kanan to the artifact, and together they wrap their hands around it and pull. And with a bolt, they pull the holocron out, throwing them both backwards. And with the artifact removed, the temple begins to collapse. Below, Ahsoka stirs, and she looks up at the temple above. And we cut back to inside, and Kanan and Ezra are trying to make their way to the ship, with Chopper telling them to hurry up. But the holocron almost flies out of Ezra's hand, and behind them, Vader is there using the Force, trying to take it.
Well, I mean, it's not like Ezra's got the grip strength of a starship.
No,
that too.
It's got to be augmenting that with the Force. You got to be able to.
I would think so. I would think.
Yeah.
But Ezra holds on for all he's worth, and Kanan grabs his arm, and he cries out, "It's him!" And Kanan tells Ezra he knows, but he's got him. And unseen behind Vader, Ahsoka has returned and is rushing towards the Sith Lord.
Yep. Doing her anime run.
Yep.
Naruto.
Vader turns at the last possible moment, but it's too late. Ahsoka has already leaped, kicking Vader and back and landing a critical strike on Vader's mask.
For the second time in his career, he's had his mask.
Yep. Before her momentum carries her forward, landing between Vader and the rebels. Ezra calls out to her as the temple walls continue to lower, and Ahsoka slowly rises, and from behind her, Vader calls out, Ahsoka! And her eyes go wide, as it's the voice of her old master, which now calls to her. She looks back, and Vader calls her name again, turning his head towards her, his face partially visible. She now knows indeed that it is Anakin Skywalker under that mask.
Yep.
And outside, Ezra looks in, and Vader rises to his feet. Ahsoka asserts that she won't leave him, not this time. And Vader studies her a moment before igniting his blade and telling her, then you will die.
Yeah. Yep.
Man.
Vader begins to advance, and Ezra tries to rush in, but Ahsoka force pushes him back outside the lowering walls, and Vader moves in to strike, but Ahsoka blocks with both blades. And as Ezra cries out no, the wall lowers shut, and inside we see Vader and Ahsoka still trading blows. Kanan calls to Ezra to get on the ship, which he does, and they lift off just as energy is starting to radiate from the shaking temple. And as the Phantom rockets skyward below, the temple erupts in an explosion of energy erupting out of the ground as the ship narrowly escapes it. Aboard the ship, Ezra's crying, and Kanan tries to comfort him, saying there's nothing we could have done. Later on at the Rebel base, Zeb, Hera, and Sabine wait on the runway as the Phantom comes in for a landing. And Ezra and Kanan, they depart the shuttle, and Hera rushes to them and lays her hands on Kanan's face, which now bears a white bandage-type device.
I wonder if it's like a back to bandage,
permanent or a temporary type thing. Yeah,
like a back to impregnate.
It's interesting that he never takes like cybernetic eyes either.
No.
Yeah, he always prefers to use the Force.
Well, is the cybernetic way partially dark side?
Not necessarily. Luke's got a
prosthetic hand, right? But at one point he fell, right?
That is also true.
So
he certainly skirted.
Yeah,
he skirted.
He walked the line.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But
if you read the novelization though of Return of the Jedi, he fully turns in that fight, but like he steps completely over the line when Vader drops Leia's name.
Yeah. Keep my sister's name out your effing mouth.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
But this next one kind of bookends where we were at part 1.
Yeah.
Because Rex arrives and surveying the area, seeing no Ahsoka, he closes his eyes mournfully.
Yeah. I get
no words are needed.
Where's everybody else? Oh.
Yeah. But back on Malachor, a TIE fighter flies away from the planet, piloted by Maul, who is clearly a little bit worse for wear.
Maul gets away in the Inquisitor, one of the Inquisitor ties.
Yeah.
So here's keep going, Andy, because
is it one of the Inquisitors or is it?
Yeah,
Vader's?
it's got the rounded wings. Okay. Yeah.
But
if he gets away in Vader's tie, that's even better. Stole your car.
But on the surface, among the plumes of black smoke, Vader emerges from the ruins as the convo Morai watches perched above.
Yeah.
Morai only watches for a moment, though, before flying off. And on the other side of the temple, we see Ahsoka entering into the dark entrance and falling to her knees.
Is she, though, or is she just walking down a set of stairs?
I think she is falling to her knees. Descriptive audio guy says a lone figure falls to her knees. Because she's kind of stepped in and just disappears forward real quick. So,
all right.
But the shot transitions into a fly-through of the Ghost, where the crew is still in mourning. And as it passes by everybody, it gets to Kanan at the back of the ship, and he stands and looks towards Ezra's room. And inside, he sits, eyes closed, with the holocron. And it begins to elevate. And as he opens his eyes glow red from the reflection.
Yeah.
And the holocron begins to open.
As he is opening it.
Yeah. And a bright
must
light.
be a Sith, or at least think like one.
Yeah. A bright light blinds the screen, and we cut to the Rebels logo, and the episode is over.
How's that for a season finale?
And that's why that scares the crap out of me. That scares the crap out of me. Like, I know that you don't want another redemption arc, but I think this one was started far enough back that it may come to fruition.
That Ezra's been on the edge?
On the edge. And he gets even further into the edge. And he becomes so powerful by the end of season 4. It's just
Wouldn't that be a kicker if Ezra Bridger is the Inquisitor that we saw?
I mean, that's not out of the realm either. I guess that's that could be some crazy biz. Yeah. I mean, and then when we get to the world between worlds, I definitely have a different take on what happens at the end of that fight than I think.
It's weird because we talked a little bit about this earlier this week. I was questioning. I was sort of questioning what had happened here because it's like, and now just reviewing it again, there's a critical piece that I think we were missing. That energy thing happens before Vader and Ahsoka are out. So they've both survived that.
Yes.
I had asked the question, and I'm going to pose this to our audience. I asked the question, with the World Between Worlds things coming up and coming back to this fight, are there 2 Ahsoka Tanos now walking around?
Would you complain if there were?
Do you want me to get into
it? It was tongue in cheek because it's like with all the big tent poles, playing on the whole multiverse thing. I'm like, we just watched Ahsoka walk into that tunnel.
Yeah.
Now do we think that she walked off to die alone? Because that is an option. Maybe. That is an option that her collapse is she's dead from her injuries.
Yeah.
So
at the twilight of the Apprentice, right? The end of
the twilight of
Major spoilers though for anybody who hasn't seen the other stuff,
Rebels.
Right? But if you want me to go off, I will. So we like watching that in real time. She was dead, right? There was no. I mean, I'm not even sure that I saw her without like walking down clearly the first time watching it on air that I saw her walk down the stairs clearly and understood what was going on there.
Sure.
But allow me to read this because I don't think I could say it better again.
Sure.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
To me, it suggests that Ezra always pulls her out before Vader strikes the killing blow. She always inserts herself back in the timeline after the temple has collapsed. We just see it once. We see Ahsoka return twice. Once in that next episode we're going to review, and not over and over and over like Groundhog Day. So it's not like a time loop. But it's think of the world between worlds like the anomaly from Star Trek, like where Guinan is from.
Oh, the Nexus.
The Nexus,
like so an when extra-dimensional space.
When you're out of time and space, when Ezra goes there, he's always been there. He's physically removed from time and space, and he's in a realm sort of like Mortis that is just the Force. So, Ezra goes there. He's always there. He's out of time and space physically with the ability to literally touch any point in the timeline, past, present, and future, albeit you have to find the correct door. Here's where the will of the Force comes in. Ezra isn't looking for Ahsoka in that episode.
No.
He stumbles upon that door.
Right. That's right.
Or rather, the will of the Force gives him the opportunity to save the life of an immortal character.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so that's really what I feel is going on there. I think that's the will of the Force utilizing. So a more interesting question is to me is that in the middle of that, for Vader, Ahsoka just goes bloop.
Yeah, kind of like the Jairus thing in the temple on Lothal.
And then I sort of reworked last episode. I had said no, that's just a vestige of something that he's been described. Now I'm fully in the camp that Yoda pulled Ezra into the world between worlds for that conversation, and then put him back through whatever door.
It's an interesting thought. I mean, will they explore this more in the live action Ahsoka show? I mean, there's been some discussion that that is sort of the MacGuffin, is that the Empire is hunting for the doorway to.
Before we were getting these Mandalorian episodes and the Obi-Wan episodes and the Hope for Ahsoka episodes, before those things were making me go, oh my God, making me weep like a little schoolgirl for Luke Skywalker again.
Yeah.
The World Between Worlds episode was the thing that made me stand up and go, oh my God, in Star Wars the most.
Yeah.
Like we have time travel. Suddenly, like a thing we never dabbled in for 40 years, suddenly, boom.
Becomes a possibility.
But I don't think it's traditional time travel. I don't think we're going to get, and that's the other thing that we all get pigeonholed into Doctor Who time travel, or we all get pigeonholed into Back to the Future time travel, or the new sort of Marvel take on time travel.
Yeah,
but there are infinite versions of time travel in sci-fi.
Sure.
I think this one would fall closer to the Christmas episode of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Where they go back and put pieces in place that have to happen later, right?
Right.
I agree.
In that case,
Ezra's always been there.
Bill and Ted, yeah.
Ezra's always been there to pull her out. It's just that, could he pull himself out of that if he's got the right door for that? There's another interesting question.
Maybe
that's what I think's happening there. Sorry about the spoilers if you haven't seen the World Between Worlds.
Let's just theorize here for a second. For 1 second, let's presume for just a minute here that Ezra Bridger is in fact that Inquisitor, and we don't learn that until after Ahsoka has killed him. Will we get a role reversal where Ahsoka, through the World Between Worlds, will pluck Ezra the Inquisitor out and redeem him?
Dope stuff.
Isn't that an interesting
right there? That's pretty great. Yeah.
To get that inverse.
How many what ifs have we done this episode? More than we normally do. What if Vader fought all 4 of those guys?
Oh my God. Yeah. Andy, you wanted to big news.
There was some pretty big news. Well, there's a lot of big news coming out of San
Diego Comic-Con this weekend. So of course there's a lot.
This one is heavily tied.
But this one fits nicely with
Ahsoka.
Yeah, of course it does.
So how about we talk about this for a couple minutes here?
Yeah, sure. Before we wrap it up for tonight. Oh, look at that. If you've been following our Random Fandom Tuesday nights, we've been teasing this out, or rather Hasbro's been teasing this out for the last few weeks about their next Star Wars HasLab project. We suspected it was the Ghost. In fact, it's been revealed it is the Ghost, and it's a vintage collection. Looks to be on par scale-wise with the Legacy Millennium Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
It
measures 28 inches by 34 inches and sits at over 13 inches tall.
13 inches tall.
Yeah, with
it's got the same playability of that old Falcon too.
For sure
it does. It's got capacity for at least 15 figures and has the detailed exterior and interior, window bowls to see the action in the cockpit, both turrets, an opening front ramp, multiple removable panels, landing gear, and signature 360 dorsal laser cannon turret.
It is pretty.
Yeah,
it's very pretty.
So pretty. And it's going to be my first
I was going to say, and one of us is going to own one of these.
I'm going to own this. I've already got permission.
Have you
pulled the trigger till September yet? No, because I'm in the middle of birthdays coming up. We're in the middle of a vacation sort of thing. So
right.
I have the green light, but I have to clear a few hurdles first.
All right.
Yeah.
Andy, did you include photos of the stretch?
We've got
Have you seen the numbers? Have you seen the numbers?
I haven't looked at the
numbers from 15 minutes before our show.
Oh, okay, good.
Bro, it's so close already. It's not funny.
I knew that it was half funded. So wait, it's now it's Sunday. So this was dropped on
within 24 hours. It was half
Friday.
Funded.
I believe so. Yeah.
So Friday night, by the time I went to bed Friday night, it was half funded. It was 40. Yeah. It was over 4,000, and they wanted what 8,000 to go.
8,000 to get it.
8,000 to production.
Yeah, but they've got their details.
I do really appreciate the detailing on that Phantom 2, that Sheathipede shuttle with a. Yeah, that it's not even a slug. It's just a.
It looks like
he's molded in.
Molded
well, he is removable, but he's only a bust.
Oh, really? Okay.
Only a bust.
Yeah. Remove the panels on the inside.
Now that's nice. I do like the detailing in the cockpit, especially that
Sabine Wren chair.
Yeah, the Sabine seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool.
But as of 15 minutes,
dear Lord, it's almost 5,000. Oh, sorry, 7,000.
Yep.
Look at that.
Dear Lord.
People love Rebels.
They do.
Yeah. And I mean, people love ships.
They do love ships.
Ships and vehicles.
Now I got to buy that Life Day Chewie just to put him inside there.
So get you home in time for Life Day. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But you can do pre-orders until 11:59 p.m. on September 6th.
If you are ordering from Canada, you just need to order it from the US site, and it pretty much lines up with what we thought. What we thought it was going to be, and it by the time you get it shipped and taxed, you're looking at basically a $1,000 playset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right out of the gate, though, it does come with a Legacy or what is it? Star Wars, the Vintage
It's
Collection.
A vintage, vintage collection.
Harrison
I love those. I love that mural card back, man.
They're using the mural. That's super cool.
It's going to be a hard figure to open.
I want to talk about this for a second because this is the thing that when I looked at it, I immediately went, okay, something's going on here. The Hera is very much based on the animation, but they've done what they've done with the Black Series. They've taken the animated characters and they've tried to give them a more realistic look. Well, Hera comes with the thing, but they've already shown off the first 3 stretch goals, and they are naturally other rebels.
Yeah.
Who we got?
At tier 1 for 11,000 backers, they are going to unlock Ezra Bridger.
I love it. And I love the fact that it's, the Loth Cat, and it's his later on look from the show. In the Black Series, we got his earlier look with his.
Yeah, we need that look in the Black Series, but it's coming rapidly, I can imagine.
You've got Ezra. You've got
Ezra Bridger is tier 1. Tier 2 is Kanan Jarrus at 14,000.
Yeah,
and then tier 3 is Zeb at 17,000 backers.
Did you do the split screen? The portraits.
I did not.
Oh, it's too bad.
Sorry.
The first thing that stood out to me, and it's not very, you can't really see in these images here because it's not very close up. Two of these figures, Ezra and Zeb, their portraits are 100% based on their live action likenesses. There's no way that Ezra Bridger figure is not Iman Esfandi.
I
agree with you.
Group chat.
I agree with you.
And the Zeb looks like it's plucked right out of the
Mandalorian episode. Yeah.
But I don't think it's spoilers. I think it's just that now we have live action.
I don't think it's necessarily spoiler either, but the fact that they've, that the Kanan Jarrus, now that's his look later on from the series.
Yeah,
when
that's
the
blind Jedi look from
when he stops wearing his shoulder piece.
Yeah.
I didn't try to look like, does he look like anybody we recognize? No. Will we get a flashback?
Freddie Prinze Jr. Kind of look like Freddie Prinze Jr.
That's a good question. Would they get Freddie Prinze Jr. to play him?
Maybe.
He says he regrets doing Rise of Skywalker and the Bad Batch in interviews recently.
Really?
He's like it's doing a disservice. He's one of those guys like Liam Neeson saying they're watering the product down.
I don't know. Maybe they didn't offer him enough dough.
Maybe.
With enough zeros, you'll forget about that stuff.
Available.
You'll eat your ethics. Anyway, the HasLab Star Wars Vintage Collection Ghost over at
it will be right here when I get it to show you all.
Now, oddly enough, there's no Sabine Wren.
You can't tell me that the Vintage Collection's not going to do a Sabine anyway.
Maybe a 2-pack Sabine and Chopper.
Yeah, we just got reveals over the weekend as well for Ahsoka, live action Ahsoka Tano, Sabine Wren, and Harrison Dula. So I suspect
in the vintage line, they just announced a Thrawn in the Vintage Collection that with that Rebels card back style.
Yeah. You can't tell me that we're not going to get the full cast. I mean, we've had the full cast in the Black Series already.
Now, is that Ahsoka just a re-release?
I wondered that as well. So. I didn't know if there was anything new in that or not. It looks like the Mandalorian.
Do you have an image of that anywhere?
We will on Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I'll pull this up Tuesday.
It does look
I think
an
it's just a re-release.
It really does.
Yep.
Maybe the head tails are slightly different to reflect the new head tails. I don't know. Anyway, that's it for the HasLab thing. Come back and hang out with us on Tuesday night when we do Random Fandom Tuesday, which may or may not be toy heavy this week.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one.
All right. Is there any more for you guys? You guys want to talk about? You want to wrap up what we talked about tonight about the road to?
Just like I said, other than one that didn't make the list, these are the most important Ahsoka episodes. If you were only going to watch 2 Ahsoka episodes, these are them.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Next week we are going to round out. It'll be the last episode in animation. And then we're going back into live action stuff that we've covered more recently with 1 episode of The Mandalorian, and then the last week with 1 episode of the Book of Boba Fett. And then Hank, you're going to get to talk about all the other episodes that you consider to be essential. and walk us through some of that.
Yeah. For the first time, we'll try 26 episodes in one.
We're going to do 26 episodes in one show. It's going to be an all-day live stream.
Yes. I'm going to need a 2-week vacation just for that show.
We're going to schedule meal breaks and bathroom. No, we're not going to do that. We'll hit the highlights. We'll hit the highlights. So yeah,
I'm trying real hard to make one slide per.
That's fair. One, yeah. And how do you encapsulate an entire episode in one slide? That's a rhetorical.
Well, it's just, it's like, because there are certain things like, and I've already started writing, by the way, because I know it's going to be a little Herculean. So there are things like, what's the most important thing about Ahsoka in terms of the film, the original film, which we didn't like her. Remember, everybody?
I do remember. I totally remember. Sky guy.
So all is a shot of her being introduced to Obi and Anakin, and that's the most important thing that happens in that 2 hour
introduction. Absolutely, right? Yeah.
So those, like, if I think only in terms of why is this the most essential episode, and take that part of that episode and make a slide about that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think I can actually keep it pithy.
That's fair, and I think that's going to be fun because I don't have any prior knowledge to what you have deemed as also being essential. So. Besides the actual list of here's the episodes, I haven't gone back and watched any of them yet. I'm kind of wanting to sort of explore it in the moment. So yeah, but like I said, as we get that list together, we will put them out on our social media so you can look at them and watch them if you'd like to bone up for 3 weeks from now.
Yep.
4 weeks from now. Sorry.
Yeah.
4 weeks from now.
Yeah. It should be the 20th of August. That's in my head. It's the 20th of August.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, this has been another amazing episode of our Road to Ahsoka review series. Hope to see you all on Tuesday night for Random Fandom. If not, come back next week where we get to do this all over again. And don't forget, everybody, until next time, for Fandom Power, my name is Wes.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Hank.
And it will be the same beards next week. Bye for now.